Bloody hell, in the words of Ron from Harry Potter, bloody hell. you know, like for real. You want something to. It's like every time I want to do something, like I haven't end up running into technical difficulties, and it's just like something as simple as making a YouTube video. It's just like it's all messed up, and I'm gonna have to post. I'm sorry for the delays. I'm gonna end up having to resplit all these videos into one somehow, and I don't even have like the prowess to do that yet, to go research it, and also the fact that is like I don't even have like the all the technical resources at my disposal just to do something as simple as freaking make videos. So I just definitely need to get this memory situation fixed where I don't have enough data on my phones or tablets to record. And back to what I was saying though, I do eventually. It's like the whole picture. I mentioned Christopher Nolan's Memento, where he split it up and it all comes back down to one solid point at the end, and that's what launched his career. And he's making big movies like Batman and everything. So yeah, I mean that's interesting. But I do. Well, I mean I would say I would get back to the Blu-ray thing. However, I remembered that I felt like everything was in my backyard because the world was so small, and that Disney store was there at the airport. And I also remember as a little kid, I was going to the airport. I was this like kind of really dorky kid as a kid. I had like a Disney fanny pack and a Disney wallet. It was awesome, and I love that. I love that part about my past. I still rock a fanny pack to this day. I don't like wear it on the front. I kind of like let it sag and hang on the back. But the one I use now is a Game Boy Nintendo man bag. It's like my man bag. It's got everything you could possibly want in a bag. And the front, it was like from when I was playing in Acacia, I had these Acacia cards. Check them out. There's a female fronted band. They're just releasing their album EP and playing shows again. So go check them out on Acacia Facebook page. Shout out to them. Hope they're doing well. And I would have like my zombie cards, deck of cards in here. These are not good for Magic. You can never condition these cards. These cards they're slippery, but they're awesome. They're the coolest cards you can ever have for playing card games, Just like zombies everywhere, and the like little zombie facts of how to survive. Zombie, which one did that say? Well, this is a different one, but it's prepare in advance. Better ops for cremation. Okay. So there you have it. Little zombie survival tips on each card to make it fun always. A new surprise on each card. 52 surprises. And then I have my little harmonica. I know it's pink. What can I do? It's a little iPod Nano thing my mom had, and I guess stopped using it, so I kind of took it over. And this harmonica I got from Crackle Barrel. Check that out. In the key of C, blues band. Homer International little harmonica. I even had a book up there that teaches you like old classic American songs. And that's why I was watching The Patriot, by the way. I was gonna get into that. Hacky sack. Pair of earbuds. Skull candies. Great to have whenever you go places. These are like the medium range. They're not like the super expensive pro models, but they're not your cheap like $10 headphones. They're like medium range, $40. You get a good quality sound, like just as good as those original iPod white headphones, but skull candy awesomeness. And this yo, I got back into yo-yos. I had this, I don't even know if I have it around, but I had this like green X-Brain yo-yo, and I wanted to get it fixed because it didn't have the string or spool, the special little spool inside. And those are the yo-yos that come automatically back up because they have like a little like clutch in the springs, so when it spins, the ball bearings like go by centrifugal force to the outside, and as it's sleeping, it slows down. It like starts to the springs push the ball bearings back into the center and like grip the yo-yo to like make it automatically come back up. But that's annoying as shit when you're trying to like do tricks and it just like randomly comes back up to you. So it's not like it's actually when I went to Toys R Us to find a replacement string and spool and stuff, couldn't find one. Obviously, I had to buy another X-Brain. There's no reviving that yo-yo unless you buy parts on eBay or something. Actually, I think it was worth it. Might as well just buy a whole new yo-yo. They're only like $20, and I found this like more professional one, and I wanted to get the aircraft aluminum. I think it's called the Maverick. It's like from Top Gun, and not really from Top Gun, but this one preferable to it because it has a similar style, and this is also, it's not a C-class bearing which spins faster or longer, but this one spins pretty good. It only like spins for about a minute, but the other one spins for like 3 minutes. It's ridiculous when it sleeps. But this one's pretty good. Like a minute's long enough to do most of your good tricks, and it's got like a wide, that like outward shape, and so it's easy to catch on the string. And the rubber, see, if you got aluminum and you can dent that so easily. Like that's why I'm always hitting this into walls, and this is like a rubber finish, so it's like it's great. And I always get everything in green. Like look how overdone green is in my room. Obviously, I'm tired of green everything, so I got the blue, and blue and green are good mixed colors. Like I even have blue in my hat, and like this blue shirt mixed with the green Geico, man. Green and blue are some awesome colors to mix. So I'm kind of getting more into blue again. I like that, on computer stuff, when you have those neon lights like on joysticks and keyboards and stuff. Those are also really cool. I prefer that over green. I love that frost blue, that like light neon, kind of like light blue when it comes to things that glow and like have lights on them. If I had a car that had those like lights on the inside of the dash, I would have it all in blue. Apparently the car I have right now, it's all red. That's not too bad though. I got used to the red. I don't hate red. I used to hate red. I like red when it's not solid red. I don't like red cars. I absolutely hate red dresses on women for some reason. That's overrated as balls. I never liked a woman in a red dress. But a black dress with red touches. See, I like red accented, just like chrome. I hate chrome that's like, chrome is meant to be an accent. If something's all chromed out, it just looks, it's like, too much of a shiny eyesore. But then if you have like something that's matted with like touches of chrome, that to me is like sexy. So, and mostly black. Chrome is really good on black. So that's how I like to do my color schemes. I don't hate red, I just don't like it when it's all red. And red is a symbol of like power and like bossy, caloric personality types, and shark kind of mentality. And I'm more of like an urchin engineer type, so I kind of am not like a power like bull type person. So it's like I don't try to overdo red as much. I think the best example of good red is like the background on my tablet, which is the girl from Final Fantasy X2, Pain, and her outfit with the red accents is amazing. It's cool, black, gray, and red. So color is important, and the way it's done is really important. And I even noticed, and you watch old Disney Channel shows, that way, like how the oversaturated their colors always are. Even the shows that just, I guess, your regular whatever show, Wizards of Waverly Place, whoop-de-doo, I don't know, I've seen it a few times. They always match their shirts and stuff with the background colors of the walls. And I noticed this, speaking of Memento, I noticed that when he's in the hotel, he's wearing like a blue kind of like shirt. I I don't remember, it was undershirt or something, like it just matches the background. So that's like more like contour. There's like everything done in a video is done on purpose. You know, the directors don't play around with the color scheme. Like they know what they're doing, and it's interesting, and there's like a whole science behind it. It's just fascinating to know that color is taken into consideration when making these creative works, and it's just not all random. There's a purpose behind it, and it's sublime. Like you don't even notice it at first, but then when you pay attention to it, it's like it opens your mind to this whole like color gamut, and these like how certain colors flow together and they don't, and it's pretty interesting. Like I love that whole theology. And so back to what I was saying though with you know, I mean Disney, and well, I got really off track. I wore a fanny pack, and I would go to the airport with my little Walkman. It was this like little Walkman that had Tetris on the outside, and it would play CDs, cassettes. And at that Disney store, I got a Lion King sing along book with a cassette, and it was like I love the Lion King. I don't know why, I just love that. And I got that flip book too, so it made me it's what got me into animation and wanting to do movies and being a director. And I told you in my first videos on posts on YouTube, I had that digital blue camera, and I tried making my own like movies and stuff. And then when I was a little kid, I got that Lego Steven Spielberg's kit, where I even have movies I've made in stop motion with that actual kit, and I'll probably post that sometime with the dinosaur and like the effects. And so I guess if I was to choose any career as a kid, I'd always dreamed of being a film director. I even went to film school for a while, and I dropped out and switched to screenwriting, but I can't spell worth the crap of me, and the format I haven't memorized how to do. Like, I mean, there's like a specific format to doing everything. Like you, just like in school, you can't submit your papers unless it's in MLA or APA format, whatever. And it's just like with resumes too. You got to professionalize your resume. There's screen or script writing. There's no real school for script writing. You just have to prove that you're a good writer and get your foot through the door. And that's how you you become successful as a writer. You just have to prove that you can write well. So then you get, based off of previous successes, like independent film or film festival, like you get promoted to better movies and stuff. Even screenwriting, they will not read your script if it's like 5 pages longer than the base. There's like a limit to how many pages it's supposed to be. There's a certain indentation you have to have, like a margin of 1 point something inches, and they will just throw it away, and they won't even bother reading it if you don't format it. Like what is this, like, amateur nonsense? Why is he can't even stick to the proper format? They're just the studio's gonna throw it away. They're never gonna read your script. So I had to I didn't even learn that yet. I mean, I got this old Smith Corona typewriter, and I was inspired by there was Fear and Loathing Las Vegas was based off of Gonzo, obviously, and what's his name, Johnny Depp, emulated his character in that, and he would always carry a typewriter because he was the actual Gonzo dude. Which is funny because they made that in the Muppets movie. There's a Gonzo who was based off of that guy as well, and this reporter guy who had a run-in with the Hells Angels, and wrote about his experiences with drugs, the counterculture, and the whole Hells Angels scene. He'd always carry like a big typewriter around, and he was a writer. And then that's what I guess Johnny Depp really idolized him as himself, and he would always kind of write scripts himself using a typewriter. And then there was when I watched the movie Knocked Up, the guy Seth Rogen who did a character, he also would type with the typewriter and do his scripts that way. And that kind of like early on, like after I left high school, I was like kind of emulating that myself and wanting to become like a screenwriter and type on a typewriter and everything, but I guess I never learned how to spell and never learned how to write anything well. So I have a few prompts that I've started, but I may put some together and share it with you guys. Hopefully, maybe if someone's interested someday, like adding me as a possible screenwriter. I just need an editor. I need someone to like who knows how to spell better than what's good of a screenwriter if you don't know how to spell good. Let's say, or well, that's the proper way to say it. Stupid English. Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny. It's like trying to be a person who's an accountant who doesn't know math. You know, it's like, wow, you know, stupid. But I know I can paint well with words if I try hard, and even though my lack of spelling and lack of formatting, if I could have someone to do that part for me and help me with that, I could actually arrange the words. You know, it's like right now I don't have a team of helpers. It's like I mentioned in my other videos, like I was tired of making the credits like all me, you know, like Matt, produced by Matt, directed by Matt, because I don't want to be that person. I don't want to, you know, I'm not this super narcissistic, like it's all me, like I want to take the credit for everything. It's just I had no choice but to do that because I had no help from anybody to do it, and I lost my good buddy, my best friend from grade school, who would have been awesome for a YouTube channel or something. He helped make movies with me as a kid. His name was Ivan Hornet, and you know, he moved to Boston, which unfortunately he had to leave, and so I went back to making movies all by my lonesome, and so it kind of just became more of a hobbyist thing, and now I'm thinking of getting out of screenwriting or script writing and going back into just regular filming and directing, and I want to do it just more trial and error, not really through college or school. You know, that's the best way to go by. Just do it. Just like in a band, just do it. Learn as you go. But so, I mean, that's what got me into animation, Walt Disney, all that stuff that I had at that airport. And so, you know, my dad worked Disney, I mentioned that. And it's like, good hero of mine. Gotta make mention. I love that little Lion King sing-along soundtrack. It was awesome. As a kid, that was like who I was. You know, I was this little Disney lover kid. All the hand-drawn animations were great. So I mentioned the Blu-rays, right? So where's that Patriot movie I had? So I mean, like I said, I wasn't an early adopter of it. The first time I ever even used the digital, I used VHSs and got a PlayStation. It was like amazing to have a DVD. And then in like 2006, about the time I was a junior in high school, or sophomore in high school, because high school was like 2004 to 2005 was freshman year for me. Graduated in 2008. It's now getting a long time ago. But yeah, I never was a really big advocate. I got into this Blu-ray like high def scene like way late. I mean, 2006 PS3 came out. I got a PS3 the same time I got the Rock Band Pro thing, because I just had to do it. I just had to get this pro guitar. Like I wanted to like learn guitars with good tabs, and I mean, I was so tired of the internet with shitty tabs and like people trying to make songs that were inaccurate, and this gave me the ability to like play to a metronome to the songs in a game format that's entertaining and challenging. It really challenges you, because like what's more like, everyone wants to get a high score in pinball or like on a video game. Like who wouldn't be motivated to like play songs as best as they could and try to get their higher score, you know, and learn them to a real guitar and accurately with the real tabs to the songs. That's what I got this thing for. And there's a little PlayStation Net thing. It runs to it MIDI here to there, and then goes out USB to the console there. Awesome stuff. That's why I upgraded to a console or PS3 back in 2012. That's how late I jumped into this. Then I finally got an HD TV, which was that PlayStation 3D TV, because I was like obsessed with 3D as well. I don't know why everyone thinks it's a gimmick or a fad. 3D is going to make a comeback when the Oculus comes out, definitely. 3D is going to be better than it's ever been, and it's never going to die. So people who hate 3D, too bad. 3D is going to be everywhere in the near future. It just, people hated the glasses for the TVs, It's like, they give you a headache because you're running these things flicker on and off, and, close, open, so you're seeing a full image, left, right, back and forth, and that flickering, it does it like 240 times a second on a 240 hertz, display, but apparently, HDMI doesn't have the bandwidth to really support 240 frames per second, nor is there any really content that runs at that frame rate. All the movies run at 24 frames a second, and 3D movies run at 48 frames per second, one frame for each eye. So it's left, right, and so you see it at 24 frames per second when it's flashing, but it's really going at 48 frames a second. So it's doing the double images, and the TV just repeats a bunch of frames to make it 240 hertz. It's not really actually 240 frames per second. And if you were to try to plug it into a computer, because you can run games past, all Blu-rays are 24 frames per second, all DVDs 24 frames per second, movies are in that format. It's not until The Hobbit came out that they tried to do 48 frames per second, and then the Avatar movie is supposedly rumored to be 60 frames per second. That hasn't changed. Movie standard hasn't changed since like in the 30s. We got used to 24 frames per second. It's really flickery and not the best. Even the guy who invented the technology, for crying out loud, Thomas Edison, invented the freaking movie camera. He said that the ideal frame rate was 70, no less than 70 frames per second, and he recommended 90. But it was expensive to use like cameras and projectors that used like 70 frames per second, so they cut it down to 24, and so they could mass produce this new technology, and everyone adopted that. And so, well, it's like, it's kind of sad that I got this display thinking I was going to see like a bunch of frames per second, because on a computer, that's the only source when you're playing a video game to where you can drive the frame rates really high. It's like, you can't get it from a movie, so obviously you can get it from a video game. Wrong, because this display doesn't even show up as a 120 hertz display. It shows up as a 60 hertz display on my computer, and that's because it's HDMI only and not DisplayPort. DisplayPort can do 120 frames per second at 1080p full HD. This stupid TV can only do 60 because it's HDMI. HDMI can only do 1080p at 60 frames per second or 60 hertz, and so the max you can push out is in 2D. You can get 60 frames in a game, or you can get in 3D 30 frames per second. 130 for each eye. So this, doesn't even do what a 3D monitor can do. You need a 3D monitor that's 120 hertz. Would have been better than this stupid 240 fake. It's like fake hertz, I guess. They trick you into that. So no, you don't get, if you run a game on old, you'd have to run an old game, because there's no game new that any graphics card could push at 240 frames per second. It's ridiculous. But if you play like a really old game from like 2000s, you could get it to run at like 300 frames per second, and you're not going to see that at all, because it's only going to cap out at 60 with HDMI. I know. So it's so interesting, because I speaking of Thomas Edison and making movies and inventing that technology, I watched that movie Hugo, and I know now why it got so many awards, because it was like, I actually was touched by that movie. It talked about how truly the world has changed when movies became a thing, and it made you believe in it again. It made you go back and experience the awe and wonder of this new technology that we kind of take for granted. And he talked about how amazed people were when they first saw the first movie. We didn't think anything of it because most of us were born into the television era and the movie era. But before, when people first saw that train coming out of the projector, they were like hiding because they thought it was like coming out of this like screen and gonna hit them. It was like amazing. Their minds were blown. And I wish I was around when The Wizard of Oz was first released in color, because that must have been amazing. People must have been like mind explosion. They've never seen, I mean, just like when movies first added sound